Duke Eclipse presents the Horror Hideout Podcast, a podcast covering everything horror, including books, comics, and movies. Presented by Dawson Duke and Kayla Bullock.
Welcome to episode 20.
And since it's a 5th episode, we're doing a book. And today's is The Road by Cormac McCarthy.
Yes, and this book is highly recognized.
It's considered an American classic.
It's won several awards. It won a Pulitzer Prize. Was published in 2006. Then they also made a movie out of it.
And there's also a graphic novel adaptation that came out a couple years ago.
I think it was just 2024.
Yeah.
I think it was just last year it came out. A spoiler-free review, or summary, I guess.
It's a father and a son
in a post-apocalyptic world trying to find somewhere safe.
Yeah. I don't think this is really a spoiler. They're heading to the West Coast.
Yes. So, if you haven't read it, so before we get into the story, I'm just going to warn people because this was kind of an issue I had with this book. I am an avid reader, you know that. There are no chapters in this book. There are no quotation marks.
That's what I was going to say.
So I actually ended up listening to the last half of the book as an audiobook. And I wish I would have looked up the guy's name who did the audiobook because he does it very well. And he actually uses a different voice for the dad than he does the son. And so it kind of that inflection and kind of gets you to relate more to the characters, I feel like, than just reading the book. But that's my opinion. Dawson, you watched the movie and you said...
Yeah.
You said the movie and the graphic novel are pretty much the same, where it's the same story, but they leave out a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And I think an issue with adapting a story like this is that the language in it is so flowery, and really, I don't want to say this because a lot does happen in the book, but not a lot happens in the book overall. It's mostly just them walking. And I feel like there could be an adaptation because I kind of felt the same way about The Long Road. The Long Walk. Yeah. So I mixed this name and that name up. I felt that way about The Long Walk. I was like, I don't know how they're going to do this as a movie because... But they did,
yeah.
And it was a good movie.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that movie.
I think this one could be done, and I haven't watched the movie, so I have no idea, but I feel like this one could be done, like Mad God.
Yeah.
Focused more on the environment. Because we don't know why there's been an apocalypse.
Yeah.
We never find out the people's names.
Yeah.
We never find out why there's ash everywhere, why the sun doesn't shine. Like, all of these things, we never find out what is going on.
I have something fun to say about that, too. Cormac McCarthy has never came out and said what caused it. And, one thing I was reading is that he was very interested in asteroids and how, like, they wiped out the dinosaurs. So some people think that that's why it happened. Some people think it was like a nuclear war because that would explain, like, the electricity going off. Like EMP stuff. But there's other causes of EMPs too.
Right.
And,
so we're kind of jumping ahead in the story, talking about
Well, we're just talking about what... We're not really even talking about the story yet. The story's about an apocalypse. The apocalypse is never explained.
Right.
That's all we're
saying.
saying.
It's never explained.
But solar flares can cause, like, EMP problems.
But there's so many people gone, so I don't really know. Like, I don't know if a solar flare... But I'm saying, like, okay...
I'm not saying a solar flare on its own, but I'm saying, like, if an asteroid hits, that's not necessarily going to cause an EMP effect.
Right.
But what if an asteroid... I don't know how it all works, but, like, you know, asteroids have trails. What if it went by the sun and then the sun burned up the trail and caused a solar flare that affected the Earth so bad there was an EMP or something? And I don't know if that's logistically possible or how all that works, but...
And there is no explanation, and...
Yeah.
We've talked about this, and I'll be completely honest, I struggled to read this one. At the end, I liked it. I hated the ending, kind of.
It's a lot of flowery language.
It is, and it, like I said, what's the one you had me read, where there was no, Dolores Claiborne?
Yeah.
It's the same way. I'm the kind of person that if I'm reading, I need a stopping point. So you can't hand me a 300, 200 page book and be like, here you go, because I don't have a stopping point. I need to finish it.
See, and I'll just sit and read it all in one sitting.
Well, I work full time, so.
I mean, I have jobs too. But...
I know. I was just kidding. I was just sick last week, so I had a really bad headache. But
I can sit down for 2 hours and read it.
So I did end up listening part on the audiobook, like I said, and I thought I have a hard time with audiobooks, but I thought the guy that did this one did a very good job. So if you're like me and you need those chapter breaks, the audiobook is a good way to go.
I've heard that a lot about audiobooks. I've heard people be like, oh, I struggle with audio. Like, I worked in a library, and people would always be like, oh, I struggle with audiobooks until they find a narrator they like. And then and then sometimes, like, they'll listen to a book that's not even the genre they like because the same narrator did it as another book they liked.
I never even thought about figuring out who he was, but he did a really good job on this.
Oh, yeah, that's a big thing. The system we use at the library, you could look up audiobooks by their narrator because people liked that so much. I had a lady that would come in all the time, and we had a list of every audiobook this one guy had done, like one narrator had done, and would order them for her.
Awesome.
Order them from other libraries to be sent to our library so she can check them out.
So, let's just jump into the story.
Oh, wait, no, because I wanted to mention, Cormac McCarthy also wrote No Country for Old Men and Blood Meridian, along with a number of other books, but those are the other two most famous ones. And it's kind of known that he doesn't shy away from, like, brutality. And, like, I said that I feel like this would be hard to adapt into a movie. Multiple people have said that Blood Meridian is impossible to adapt into a movie.
Have you read it yet?
I've read parts, but I have not sat down and read the whole thing.
Okay.
Okay, that's all I wanted to say. We can get to the actual story now.
So, we never, and I think I might have said this already, but we have Papa and we have Son. We never know their names. And really, I mean, they meet a few other people, but, I mean, it's very much these two people are our characters.
Yeah. That's one thing I wanted to talk about is there's only two characters in the story, but it's written so well, and the focus is so... I mean, even though the focus is so much on these characters, I feel like we learned so much about, like, the environment and stuff, too.
Right. And, I forgot what I was going to say. Do we ever find out how old the boy is?
I don't think it ever actually says.
Because there's some parts where I get, like, he's, like, kind of mature.
I think
like,
that's on purpose.
like,
I think it's supposed to be ambiguous.
Okay.
So in my mind, it's somewhere like 10 to 12, where you're like
See,
still...
sometimes I'm like 10 to 12, and sometimes I'm like 6 to 7 because of some of the... when he gets really scared and the way he acts.
Yeah,
so
but
I don't know.
I
like,
think like 10 to 12 because
air.
I feel like that's kind of the age where like you're kind of in between being like a teenager and still a kid.
Yeah.
So I feel like you can kind of go both ways. And on top of that, if he was super young when the apocalypse started, it's probably mostly what he knows. And he's also very like starved and stuff too. Yeah. So he probably isn't developing completely correct.
That's true. So we talked about this before we started recording. There's some flashbacks in the book, and so we want to start with those. And this is not one we're going to go...
And, yeah, we're not going to go beat by beat through the story because...
A lot of it is them walking on this road and not knowing where they're at, what they're doing, when they're going to eat again.
We get cool, interesting environment details.
Right. So I'm going to actually let Dawson talk about the flashbacks.
Yes. So we get a flashback, and it's kind of our only normal part in the story. You know what I mean? Like, when life was normal. And we get a flashback, and it's when his wife was still alive. The dad's wife was still alive. And basically, I don't know how much detail I should go into, but she ends up offing herself.
After the apocalypse starts.
Yes. At that point, this is where some people get some ideas from. It talks about earthquakes and the power going out and that kind of stuff. So that's where people think maybe, like, nuclear fallout, and that would explain the ash and stuff. And it'd explain why power, like electricity, isn't working. But then I also wonder if, like, an asteroid could have wiped stuff out and caused ash to go up in the air, and because all that stuff could happen too. Or a super volcano going off could cause all the ash. Like, there's a bunch of different...
Also at this point, not to interrupt what you were saying,
no,
also at this point, Papa talks about how I think it's the same part. It may have been a different flashback, but I think it's this where she tells him you're not brave enough to do it. And what they're talking about is
killing
if it gets bad enough, do you have the courage to take out our son and then take care of yourself? Because the gun had 2 bullets.
And he has the gun throughout the book, and he only has 1 bullet left, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because he had 2. I think he has 2 at the beginning.
Yes.
And he fires
Well,
1.
I don't know if he has 2 at the beginning. I don't remember him firing it, but I know when his wife was still alive, there were 2 left.
I don't think there were only 2 left when his wife was alive.
Well, I
think
mean,
there was 3.
Well, that's what I mean. But
yeah.
after she took care of herself, then I think there were 2.
The first time they run into people and they steal a shopping cart, like they steal everything from the shopping cart, and they go and lay in the ditch, he shoots that guy.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So then I think for the rest of the story, there's only 1 bullet left.
That's right. So we get a few more flashbacks with the mom.
Yeah.
Just kind of his good memories of her before all of this happened. And I don't think, and I could be wrong, I don't think the boy really remembers her.
I don't think so either. And one part that, like, is kind of gut-wrenching to me is the part where he talks about how he had his wallet and he laid it out and there was a picture of him and his wife and he left it there. Yeah. And he put rocks on it so it wouldn't get blown away, but he just walked away from it and just left it there. And he regrets it later in the book. He talks about how he regrets that he did that.
So, again, we don't know where they are. They're just on this road.
Yeah.
They walk through mountains.
He talks about they're heading to the West Coast, but I don't know if he actually says the West Coast directly or if he just says the ocean.
They don't ever. I don't think I ever caught where they said which coast because I was trying to figure out which way they were going, and I never really could.
I'm almost positive they're heading west, but I don't know where that idea came from.
But see, and that's something else I have a question on. Okay, if you think, and other people do too, and I don't know. Obviously, we don't know, but if it has been say 10 years since this happened, why are they just now trying to get somewhere warmer? Why are they just now at this point trying to find other people? What were they doing these other 10 years? I know.
Well, they weren't trying to find other people.
Well, I mean, they were trying to find somewhere safe.
Yeah, but they weren't trying to find other people. The dad was suspicious of every single person.
Well, that's true. But why now? Why when it's cold and it's winter are we just now trying to get to California?
I don't know. Because we don't really get an explanation. But in the flashback, we see that they're huddled up in the house with food and stuff. So maybe they have just been surviving, and for all we know, they started on one coast and went to the other. Like, we don't know. It never says.
That's true. Okay, that was just my thought. I just wondered.
And the other thing is, you ask, well, why just now is it getting cold? All the ash in the air would it would block out the sun. It'd make the earth grow colder.
But wouldn't it have been that way for 10 years?
It would, yeah, but it would gradually, it wouldn't happen necessarily overnight. It would happen over time.
Gotcha. Okay. So, we have a couple more flashbacks, just kind of memories of him with the wife.
And really, I think he mentions this a couple times. I don't know how much the dad is actually heading to the coast for actual safety because of the way he talks about the ocean. And it makes me wonder if he wanted just to see the ocean. He wanted his son to see the ocean before they died.
Yeah, I can see that.
So like we said, they run into that group of 3 people. He kills one of them. They get away from them.
Was it just 3 people?
There's a whole truck, but
I
think
there
only
was more of them, and the one guy just came looking for him.
I think there's 3 guys that get off of the truck.
Okay.
But I don't. That might be something like I saw in the movie or something. But
so Dawson's mentioning this truck. Didn't they have people like chained to the front of it pulling, kind of like oxen?
No, I don't think so.
Then how was the truck going?
I think it just drove. Older cars don't require electricity to start.
Okay. I must have made that up. Maybe I dreamed it.
Because they talk about fuel. They talk about having diesel fuel.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
And I don't know how diesel engines work. Maybe diesel engines don't need power to start.
I would think they would, but I don't know.
Well, because older cars didn't.
Yeah.
And I'm not even talking about the ones where you actually had to wind it. Some older cars did not need...
That's like Vanishing on 7th Street we talked about. That's why that one truck would start. So we have them meeting the 3. So they have a shopping cart that's full of... I shouldn't say full. They have a shopping cart they use for their supplies. So food,
blankets,
tarps. they both have shoes on, but their shoes have holes in them, and they're
Yeah.
just not like. That's one thing he's desperate for is new shoes for his boy. Not new, but different shoes
Yeah.
for his boy.
And he kind of like makes shoes for them.
Yeah.
Like he'll take
out
like
of the tarps.
well, yeah, and he'll take like foam padding and stuff and put them in there. And,
Yeah.
Which again kind of made me think of the Long Walk.
Yeah. So, it's this barren wasteland that's covered in ashes. When they come to a town, once in a while they'll go into town, but not very often. But
Yeah.
the towns have pretty much been looted, burnt. Some of them have been burnt down. At one point, he talks about how billboards have been painted white and there's threatening things on, like, don't come into town type
Yeah.
things on there.
And at one point they pass through a city, and the son swears he saw a child.
Mm-hmm.
So the son kind of runs off after him and tries to catch him, and they never end up finding him. Then,
But it bugs the boy for the whole rest of the
Yeah.
book that they didn't help that kid.
yeah,
So they end up finding, and I'm going to talk about the bunker unless you've got something you want to say before the bunker.
no, because the old man doesn't happen till after the bunker.
No,
and that was the next
he's
thing.
toward the end.
Yeah,
He's once they get to the beach.
no,
Who? Which old man?
the one they meet after they get out of the bunker. They're not to the beach yet.
Oh,
They give him like a can of peaches.
not the one that steals their cart.
No,
That's the old man I was talking about. So they find this farmhouse, and he leaves the boy at the house, and he's going to this shed to look for stuff, and he kind of sees something in the ground, and he hears something when he steps on it.
First, he notices the water barrel, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Or the house.
Is that the same house?
Yes. Because he finds that first, and then he finds the bunker. And it's kind of implied that they were like doomsday preppers.
Yeah. So he ends up finding this, and they're starving. They haven't had food.
Yeah.
They haven't had anywhere warm to sleep. They don't have any fuel left to burn a fire. And they find this bunker, and it's got 2 beds in it. It's got all kinds of food. It's got clean water. Everything they could need.
And when he first gets to the farmhouse, he finds that, because like all the standing water and all the water they find is always choked with ash. Well, he finds this house that has a barrel under one of the gutter drains. What are those called?
Downspouts.
Downspouts. It's a downspout that leads into a barrel. Well, the barrel has like a large charcoal and like the different things to sift water through to clean the water, which is a real thing people do.
Mm-hmm.
And so he finds clean water. So he watches him and his son, and then after that he ends up finding the bunker, the entrance to the bunker, and it's kind of implied it's out in the middle of the yard.
Yeah, like between the house and the shed.
Yeah.
And he only finds it because he steps on it and he kind of hears something.
Because I think it's covered in dirt.
Yeah. Well, he has to dig it up.
Yeah.
And so they end up staying there. I don't know how many days they stay. Probably less than a week.
Yeah, and it talks about how he drags an old mattress over the top to try to kind of hide the entrance.
And I was so mad that he just didn't keep that boy in that bunker. Like,
well,
just stay there and get feeling better and eat and be warm.
This is when I'll talk about it. I don't think he could get better. Breathing in ash is like breathing in glass. It destroys your lungs. And the way he was sick and everything.
We didn't talk about that. That Dad keeps coughing up blood.
Yeah. I think he was dead no matter what. Like, he knew he was dying. But on top of that, I feel like he was very pessimistic. And the only thing keeping him optimistic was his son. And I feel like his son was very much optimistic. But I also, the whole thing you said about not pinning down his age, this is one thing that people talk about with Cormac McCarthy books. A lot of times his characters aren't designed just to be characters. They are ideals in shape, basically. So, that might be why it's so ambiguous as to his age.
That makes sense.
You know who he kind of reminded me of, though?
Who?
Bobby Hill from King of the Hill. Well, Bobby is not the brightest kid, but he'll have, like, he says some really profound things.
Well, okay, so maybe they don't stay in the bunker forever, but they could have stayed there until it warmed up a little bit.
I know, but I mean, I think he knew he was on the clock. I think he knew he was dying. If you're coughing up blood, you're not doing too well.
Well, no, but if he's worried about his son, he should have kept him somewhere safe.
I know, but I wonder if he was...
And one thing we need to go back to is, like, there were literally boxes of food in here, but they only have that shopping cart.
Yeah.
And they could only take so much with them. Well, you're talking about pushing a shopping cart down a road that's covered in ash, so it's not easy going anyway.
Well, and it talks about how his son starts getting his color back and stuff from eating in the bunker, and I think he says there's enough food to last them like 10 years or something.
Yeah, so why didn't they just stay around there?
Because he rationalized it in his head because he's afraid they're going to get discovered. Because he found it, so if he found it, someone else can find it.
Yeah, but if it's been 10 years, nobody else has found it yet.
Yeah, but I don't know. And, like, part of the thing was he talked about was, like, their footprints and stuff after it rained.
Yeah. I know, but still. He should have stayed there.
I agree, because I feel like even if people had found it, he could have defended it. Especially, like, it sounds like everyone's very bad off. So they could have, if they had stayed and eaten and got healthy, they probably could have fought people off.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. And like, when I picture a bunker with stairs, it's not like grand staircases where 100 people can come down them at once. You're only going to be fighting 1 or 2 people at a time. They do find it.
The other thing to me, though, is the dad comes off as stubborn. And it feels to me like he was like, okay, I'm set on getting to the coast. Like, once we get to the coast, it'll be better. And he doesn't really... I think a lot of it is just like him having hope and having a goal. And it doesn't necessarily...
Sorry, go ahead.
You're good. Go.
You know what puts me in the mind of? Zombieland.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I actually was going to say that. I was actually going to use that exact example because I was going to say, like, they're wanting to get to Pacific Playland and then they get there and it gets infested with zombies because they turn all the lights on. And it's not the bastion of hope they thought it was going to be.
And that's one thing about this book. Like, it's an apocalyptic book, but there's no zombies. The bad people are other humans who are still surviving.
Well, and I think this is what I was saying before with the whole goal thing. I don't know if the dad would have even lived as long as he... But I wonder if him having a goal in mind helped him stay alive. Because, like, I think we've talked about this on the podcast before, possibly, but the drowning mice experiment.
No. We've talked about the frogs.
Okay. So, they did this experiment, which, yes, it's horrible. I'm sad they did this. But what they did was, they took mice, and they put them in water. And they saw how long they would tread water, and then right whenever they sunk, they would save them. They would pull them out and save their lives. And they did a test, and the rats that had been saved before versus the rats that had never been pulled out tread water for longer. Because they have hope.
Huh.
So hope can keep people going.
But do you think he would have ended his life with his wife if he didn't have the boy to look after?
I don't know if... Probably.
I would think he would have.
Because there's a part where they're in the woods and he's afraid that they're going to get found by the cannibals. And he puts the gun to the boy's head and is ready to kill him to save him from the cannibals. So I think he would have.
I do too.
On top of just having the goal of getting to the West Coast, having his son there as something to protect gave him a reason to keep living.
Yeah. And so... Throughout the story, they do run into a group of cannibals. I don't think they actually talk to them.
No, they see a group, I think it's 2 guys and a pregnant woman, and then later they come across a fire that they had been at, and they find a baby on a spit over the fire.
Right.
And it's implied that they killed her newborn baby as soon as it was born to eat it. And then later, they go into a house, and when they go into the cellar, there's a bunch of, like, emaciated people down there.
I didn't understand that part. Were they there to be meals?
Yes.
Okay.
A lot of people have problems with that part. Because if you are going to eat people, a lot of people argue it's better if you would have just killed them and then save the meat. Because if you're keeping them alive, you have to feed them and, like... the longer you keep them alive, starving them, the less fat they're going to have on them and
Right.
everything.
But
So
how would you store the meat if you didn't have refrigeration and stuff?
it's a cellar.
Oh, well, that's true.
Jars still exist. Vinegar.
It's true. That's true.
I highly doubt too many people are going out there trying to find vinegar.
Right, yeah, well, you never know. I thought it's kind of cool though because at one point he finds a Pepsi.
Or smoke them and make jerky. It's not that hard to make a smokehouse.
If you need information on cannibalism, apparently Dawson's your guy. But at one point he finds a can of Pepsi.
Yeah.
And gives it to the boy. And then at another point he finds a grape Kool-Aid. Mm-hmm. And gives it to him. And so it's just these little things that, like, we take advantage of. Like, I can walk into the kitchen and get a lemonade or a soda or whatever. And just the joy the little boy gets from these things.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. Whenever he gets the cola, is it Coke or Pepsi? Specifically.
I don't know why I'm thinking Pepsi.
It might be Pepsi. I know they say a brand name in the book, because that was one thing about the graphic novel that was different that I thought was funny, is it's not branded in the... It's called like soda pop or something in like on the label in the book, but or in the graphic novel. But yeah, the boy says something along the lines of, "Oh, I'm never gonna get to have this again, am I?" And the dad's like, "No, probably not."
And I thought it was funny later on when they find coffee. His dad's like, "Here, have coffee." Like,
yeah.
When you guys were little about that age, I was like, "No, you can't have coffee." And then his dad's like, "Here, try this. Drink some coffee."
I think he's doing that because he's trying to give his son experiences.
I do too, and there's nothing wrong with that. It kind of struck me as funny. That,
yeah. So, I want to talk about the two things real quick. Did you have something more to say about what we were on? The part where they get to the part of the road that's like boiled.
Okay.
Where parts of it are on fire and it's bubbling up, and there's a guy that's like half burnt walking, and the son's like, "Can we do anything for him?" And dad's like, "No, we can't. We don't even have enough supplies for ourselves." That part hits hard.
Yeah.
Because it makes you wonder how many people are out there struggling like that, and no one can really help each other.
And then isn't there a guy they run into up in the mountains that's freezing to death, and they can't do anything for him either?
I don't remember that, but probably.
I feel like there was.
But then I wanted to talk about the old man, because the dad, anytime they see people, he's like, "People are bad, we need to avoid them no matter what. We can't talk to strangers because you never know what they're going to do."
I want to say one more thing before you get into that. And so something the dad has told the boy this whole time is they are carrying the fire. They are the fire keepers. They're carrying the fire. And so that comes back into play later. So I want to throw that out there.
But at one point, they're walking and they see an old man. And this is after they left the bunker. So they have a cart loaded up with all kinds of cans of like peaches and all kinds of things.
Do they have the wheelbarrow now too?
That might be what it is instead of the cart.
I thought they had both.
I don't think they have both.
Okay,
I think they lose the cart and end up with the wheelbarrow.
I think so.
So I think it's the wheelbarrow.
Okay.
Oh yeah. So they see an old man walking, and the dad doesn't really want to talk to him and kind of tries to avoid him. And the boy's like, "Well, can we give him something at least? Can we invite him to dinner?" So they end up stopping and eating dinner with the old man and stuff. And it's hard because the father doesn't, like, it's just him and his son is all he cares about, which isn't bad necessarily because he's just trying to focus on their survival. But the son is so willing and wanting to help everyone they run across. And so finally they get a chance to help someone, and they do. They feed him some food and talk to him, and
which the dad is not a fan of. He doesn't want to.
Yeah.
Because he basically tells the boy that, like, you're taking food out of your mouth to feed this guy.
Yeah. And, the old man's not very grateful either.
No.
Like, he never thanks him or anything, and he just kind of,
And he won't even tell him his real name. Like, he lies about his name.
Yeah, and he, like, they ask him how he survives, and he's like, well, maybe it's nice people like you giving me food and stuff like that. Like, he's very...
And a lot of questions they ask is just like, I don't know.
Yeah. He's very avoidant of anything.
And they ask him his age, and he says he's 90, and they're like, no, you're not.
But I wonder if he was just distrustful of them because, like, he was worried, because there's rampant cannibals,
Right.
Like, maybe they were trying to trick him so that they could eat him or something.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if that's why he was so cautious.
And there's
And
a
that's-
lot of parts. I mean, we see a lot of nights with the dad, the papa, and the son.
Yeah.
I mean, there are nights when they don't have anything to burn, or nights when they're afraid there are people around.
Yeah.
So it's freezing cold and they can't start a fire, and so, or they're outside and it's pouring rain, and
Well, and it talks about how they're wearing, like, layers and layers of rags.
Yeah.
To keep warm.
Yeah. So, it's very, like, this is not our typical horror book that we do on the podcast, but this is very much survival horror.
Which is my favorite.
So, basically the entire book we're just with these two people, but they end up in a town. This is getting toward the end. They end up in a town, and the dad gets shot.
Yes.
Oh no, wait, that's later because he has the flare gun. So they actually end up at the coast.
Yes, and they get to the beach.
They get to the beach, and there's a ship, but it's wrecked. It's like it's flipped over and it's kind of flooded and stuff. And the dad goes out there. They end up staying, I don't know.
Oh, one thing about the
4 or 5 nights
bunker
on the
too.
beach.
He does talk about how when it rains there was water leaking into the bunker.
Yeah, but not much. I thought that was only because he opened the door.
I don't know.
My understanding when I read that part was it was because he opened the door.
It might have been, but I wonder if it was, if after he unburied it, it was so old and it had been buried for so long, it had kind of degraded and had a leak.
Still be better than cannibals.
Anyway, that's...
So I jumped ahead. So they're on the beach, and
the boat.
He goes on the boat, and he finds some stuff. And they end up staying on the beach several nights, and the dad ends up going back one more time. Well, he ends up finding a flare gun.
Yes.
But the flare gun, and I was so mad at this part because the whole time I keep thinking about this bunker, like you should have stayed in the bunker. So when he's on this boat, he's talking about how in the, where the steering wheel is, there's this cabinet and it's got these latches on it, and he opens them and there's the flare gun. But I'm like, it's talking about how they're brass latches, and I'm like, oh cool, he's going to take these latches off. They're going to go back to the bunker and be safe, which is stupid because the bunker was like 3 weeks ago or something. I mean, something dumb, but...
I think it was before they went through, like, the mountains or something. Was it?
No, it was after the mountains.
Okay.
But
See,
it was a long...
It's been like a month since I read this, so it's not quite fresh in my mind.
But it had been a couple weeks at least. So, they're getting ready to leave the beach. Well, the little boy ends up getting sick, and that's part of the reason they stay on the beach. He's got a really high fever, and he gets sick, like vomits and stuff. Well, the dad gets him better, and he goes back out to the boat one more time. Well, when he comes back, the son has dropped the pistol in the sand, and so when they go back to get it, and so when they go back to get the pistol, and when they come back to their shopping cart, it's gone.
Do they go from a shopping cart to a wheelbarrow back to a shopping cart?
Yes.
Okay. I was going to say, I feel like that's what happens.
Yes. I don't remember why they get rid of the wheelbarrow. But I know the first shopping cart had a bad wheel.
Yeah, I knew that.
And I don't remember why they get rid of the wheelbarrow.
They might lose it they might like have to leave it somewhere for some reason.
I can't remember.
Does it dump over? I don't remember.
I don't either. That's really not that important, I guess. But so the dad, he tells the boy, he said, we gotta wipe the sand off our feet, go out to the road, start looking for sand on the road. And
well, did their clothes get stolen too, or not?
Yes.
Okay.
Because the dad went out naked. He was going, well, he didn't go out naked. He had on the rubber boots and stuff, but like his actual clothes were back at the fire. So this person stole everything they had. And so the boy actually ends up finding the sand on the road, and they catch up with the person that did it. And this is like, to me, it kind of seems like it's dad's breaking point, because he just kind of loses it. Like, he makes the guy take off all of his clothes, take off his shoes.
And the whole time the boy's crying and is like, don't do this to him.
Yeah.
You're going to kill him, Dad. Like.
Yeah. And he's got the pistol out and pointed at the guy. The dad's got the pistol out pointed at the guy.
And one thing I did want to mention is there is one point where, like we said, the pistol only has one bullet left in it. But I think it's after he shoots the guy, he talks about how the guy could probably have seen that there was only 2 bullets in it. So what he does is, later, he gets wood and carves it to look like bullets and puts it in the other cylinder so it looks like it's a full gun.
I'm almost positive he did that while they were in the bunker. I'm almost positive he carved the bullets while they were in the bunker.
I didn't think so, though. I thought they were in the woods.
I thought they were in the bunker because it was something he got out of the shed that he used.
Maybe, but I don't think so.
It doesn't matter. He fills the gun back up with fake bullets.
Yeah. There's still one real bullet. Just to clarify.
So they leave this guy in the middle of the road naked. And the dad's like, this is what you were doing to us. Like, you were taking all of our stuff.
And the dad ends up putting his clothes piled up. Or no, they walk away first. Mm-hmm. And then they walk back because the boy won't stop crying.
Yeah.
And he puts the guy's folded clothes and shoes back.
They actually look for him and can't find him. So
and they yell out and they're like, hey, we've got your stuff.
Yeah, and they leave it in the middle of the road. Which I don't think if I was that guy I would have came back either. If they were yelling for me.
Yeah, and they talk about how it's cold, so the boy was worried he was going to die.
Yeah. And one thing throughout the book is the boy keeps saying we're the good guys, right? We're the good guys. And he, like with this one, he's like, Dad, basically we're supposed to be the good guys. This isn't what good guys would do.
Yeah. And they talk about that, I think, with the old man.
Yeah.
About being the good guys.
And see, those are some of the parts where I feel like maybe he's younger than what we think he is.
Yeah. And the other thing, too, that I wonder about, too, is really our book is mostly from the father's point of view. And I wonder how much of what the boy says is stuff he actually says.
Really?
I wonder how much of it might just be, like, the dad projecting so that he can keep both of them alive. Because, and sometimes the boy just says stuff back to the dad had said it to him in the past.
Yeah.
But it makes me wonder.
Huh, I didn't think about that. Okay, so then what happens?
This is when they get shot, isn't it? Or when the dad gets shot. Are they just on the road?
No, they go into a town.
Yeah. Aren't they just on a road, though?
Yeah, through the town.
Yeah.
And
I don't remember why. Are they just walking?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like right after this.
He gets shot with a crossbow in his leg.
Mm.
And so one thing we didn't talk about was the flare gun. The son wants to know if they can actually shoot the flare gun. So when they're at the beach, his dad shoots it so he can see it. And,
yeah.
The son's like, it's a celebration.
Is that before he gets sick?
Yes.
I was going to say, because I think he does that because they weren't planning on staying.
Yes.
And then his son gets sick, so they have to stay like a week.
Yeah. And the dad's trying to figure out what made his son sick. He thinks it's some of the food from the boat or something, so he's getting rid of stuff. But the little boy ends up being fine. So the dad gets shot with a crossbow, and then he shoots the guy.
Yeah, he shoots a flare, doesn't he?
Yes, he
shoots a flare through the window at the guy. Because the guy's up in like a window in a building.
Second story
house.
Second story window.
Yeah.
And so the dad actually goes inside the house and finds a woman holding the guy. And he's like, they left you behind, didn't they? And she's like, no, I left myself behind. And so anyway, they end up leaving the town. But when they were on the ship, when his dad was on the ship, he'd found a first aid kit. So he sews his wound closed and tries to clean it. But it gets infected.
Yeah. And I think the father was going to die anyway. I wonder if that expedited the process.
I think it did. So, Dad ends up dying.
Yeah. They find, I think they find a clearing in the trees. And they're camped out by, like a creek or something, and the dad ends up dying. Well, then after that happens, and it's kind of been alluded to, I think the boy mentioned a couple times, and maybe even the dad, that they felt like someone was following them.
Yeah.
And after the dad dies, when the boy comes out of like the woods, he comes face to face with a man and the boy from the city that he saw way back when.
Yeah.
And the whole time they'd been following them.
I thought he meant a man and a woman.
He does. They have the boy with them.
I don't think they do, because the only reason I say that is because he asks if they have a little boy, and he says yes, and a little girl.
Okay,
So I don't
maybe
think
you're right.
The kids
then.
are with him. I think it's just the grown-ups. Because I just listened to that part today.
Okay, you're probably right. I'm looking because... Yeah, I think you're right. In the graphic novel, there's just a man. Okay.
Maybe it is just a man then.
It might be.
But the boy's not with him. I know for sure he's not with him.
But basically, the guy's like, well, now that your dad's dead, do you want to come live with us? And the boy's like, well, do you guys have the fire in you? And I think he seems kind of confused by it, but says yes.
Yeah. Well, he's kind of confused, and then he says, the boy says something, and he says, we carry the fire, yes.
Yeah. But there's kind of a argument to be made about this ending.
And before you get into all that, because I know we have a lot to talk about, but
yeah,
one thing I want to say about this book is we are very much summarizing this book. We're hitting the highlights of this. I don't want to say the highlights. We're hitting the action parts of the story. But world building and suffering and making you feel like you are in the apocalypse. I've never read a book that makes you feel that way as much as this one does. So don't base your opinion on what we're saying as far as the storyline goes, because there's so much more to it that it's hard to explain on a podcast. There's so much more to the story that it's just something you need to experience yourself. So go ahead about the end, Doss.
So some people wonder if the man is actually good or if he's a bad guy. So some people wonder if he's going to like end up killing the boy and eating him. And some people think he was telling the truth and that there is a young boy and girl with him and that the kid's going to get raised. I prefer the optimistic ending.
I do too.
But I think that kind of also comes back to the duality of the father and the son. I feel like you said, the father probably would have offed himself when his wife did if it wasn't for the son.
Yeah.
And I feel like the father was very much, if not a full pessimist, a realist.
Yeah. I think I would lean more toward realist than pessimist. But so on that note, I would vote more toward the optimist side too, because the little boy offers, he's like, you can have my gun, and the guy's like, no, you keep it.
Yeah.
And I think if you were gonna, which not that he couldn't overpower a boy, but if you were gonna hurt somebody, I feel like you would have taken that opportunity to just take it.
But I wonder if society will ever come back.
I mean, I don't know, because the one pregnant person we see, her baby's already gone.
Yeah, I know. But we also never... You don't know whether that was consensual or not.
That's true. And I don't know if, like... I kind of wondered if at one point, and this is just total speculation on my part, but I wondered if the lady that was holding the guy after he shot him with the flare gun, after Dad shot the guy, I wondered if she was the pregnant lady.
I never got that.
The only reason is because he says they left you behind, didn't they? And so I'm thinking maybe this is that group that wanted her while she was pregnant so they could have the baby, and then they just left her. And that's total speculation. It's way out of left field, but...
I guess I could see that. I just don't know if they would expend so much energy following them. I don't understand why they would head to the coast.
The dad and son?
No. Like the woman.
Oh, I don't know.
Like, other than if they were trying to follow the father and son, but I don't see why they would expend energy doing that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Unless, I don't know, it could be, you know how Zombieland kind of has that ambiguous thing where information gets around. Maybe
Yeah.
somehow information gets around and people have heard that the coast is better. But I think the old man we see going away from the coast. Because I think he's coming the opposite way on the road from them.
Yes, he is. Right?
I think it's in The Walking Dead. I don't remember. It might not be. But anyway, there's some zombie media where they talk about how, like, the people in the West say it's better in the West, or say it's better in the East, and the people in the East say it's better in the... But I don't remember what that's from. I don't think it's The Walking Dead.
No, it's we just watched it not too long ago. It's the movie where they end up going to the CDC building.
Well, they do that in The Walking Dead.
No, it's not The Walking Dead. We just watched... It's a movie me and you just watched not too long ago.
It's not 28 Days.
No. I don't remember what it is. 28 Days is not... You meant 28 Days Later.
Yeah. I was just saying 28
Days.
Days.
28 Days is a Sandra Bullock movie that's completely different. That's why.
Oh, I didn't know there was a movie called 28 Days. I was just saying 28 Days as like a shortened version of...
But anyway, yes,
later.
I know what you're talking about. But that's what I think that's what I liked about this one is it's apocalyptic, but it's not supernatural. We don't have zombies.
Yeah.
And there's no magical colony of all of these survivors that like everybody is out for themselves. And I really feel that's like how the world would be if there was an apocalypse. Like everybody would be out for them and their families.
And the world feels hard, but it doesn't feel cruel necessarily, because it's like we kind of get it with them too, where there's kind of like the father there's an indifference to other people suffering as long as him and his son are safe.
Right.
And that's kind of how nature is. Like nature's going to keep moving whether you're happy or not.
Right. Well, one of the parts that really I think hit me the hardest was when they're on the beach and his son asks him if there's any other good people out there. And he starts thinking about how maybe on the other side of the ocean there's a son of dad standing there on the other shore staring out into the ocean trying to figure out what they're going to do.
Which, that also made me think of something. But I don't know what. But I know it's a movie or something where someone asks a similar question to that.
I don't remember that one.
It might be a kid's movie.
I don't remember that.
But anyway,
I think we see a lot of growth with the son in the movie or the book. When we start out, he's got toys and stuff, and then he leaves those behind, and a lot of maturity, and I think, and I kind of thought he was whiny at parts of it. Like, I would have just been like, suck it up, dude. This is what we gotta do. I wouldn't have, but...
But I wonder if things would have been better if the father was more trusting.
But how do you be more trusting in an environment like that when you're walking down a street and somebody shoots you with an arrow? I mean, I'm just saying, like... How do you know who to trust?
I know, but the guy at the end kind of implies that the reason they avoided him is because the dad didn't trust. But I think that's the whole thing with people is it's even just in regular daily life, it's hard to trust people. Especially if you've had issues in the past.
Well, and especially the way the world is right now. Like, we were talking at dinner, and Aaron said they did studies where people are 40% less empathetic than they were in the early 2000s, and I kind of see that. Like, everybody's out for themselves, and who do you trust and who do you not trust?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody can talk a good game, but that doesn't mean they mean it.
Yeah.
But then it kind of annoys me that they saved the boy when they could have saved the dad too.
Yes, but the man kind of talks about that.
I know, but still.
You can't help someone that doesn't want to be helped.
But they didn't even try. How do they know he didn't want to be helped?
because of the way he acted.
Wouldn't you be suspicious of people, though?
Yes, I would be, but there's caution is necessary, but there's no point in living without other people.
Well, I think that's why he lived for so long, was for his son, so...
I understand that, but he knew he was dying. He was coughing up blood. What was his son gonna do on his own?
That's a good point. I don't know.
I feel like at some point he should have realized he needed to find some other people that could take care of his son.
Yeah. I don't know. There's just such an opening ending to this book.
There's such an open everything to this book.
Yeah.
And it doesn't... One of my favorite things, we talked about the flashback scene, but that doesn't happen till later in the book. One of my favorite things is you're just put in this world, it's never explained, and there's not really like a big happy ending. Like, it's all just kind of ambiguous.
No. And usually with my horror, I'm like, I don't care if there's a happy ending. Like, 7 rabbits, heck yeah, kill them all. But this one I was kind of rooting for. I'm like, I want something good to happen for these two.
But I think it's okay that it ends like that.
Well, I'm not saying it's not okay. I'm just saying I was rooting for them.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know.
I think Cormac McCarthy is a genius.
I haven't read any of his other stuff, so I'm not sure. I do know that the movie No Country for Old Men, I was not a fan of. But it's also very, very, very violent.
Yeah.
Very violent. Not that I don't watch horror movies, but it was very violent. I'm kind of curious about Blood Meridian, and I might want to read it one of these days.
Well, you can borrow my copy if you want to.
Okay.
I don't know if that'd be a podcast episode.
I don't know.
That's...
From what I was reading online, it's a really heavy novel.
That's what I was going to say. This book was heavy. Blood Meridian is miles heavier than this.
Yeah. And there's not really a lot of... I mean, this book doesn't have a lot of blood and gore and stuff in it. It's very much quiet horror.
I actually wrote that down. One thing I specifically wrote down was, it's brutally gristle, but it's also real. And it doesn't shy away from brutality, but it isn't gory, and it doesn't, like, focus on it either.
Right. And I think a lot of that has to do with our main characters, because the dad tries to
yeah.
Protect the boy from seeing things. Like,
well,
there's one part where there's a bloated body in some body of water they're by, and he's trying hard not to let the boy see that.
And I think at one point the boy sees a body, and he says, it doesn't matter, because once you've seen it, you can't unsee it.
Right.
And then the part... After they see the baby that got roasted, later the son asks, I think it's when they're on the beach, the son asks, if we'd found the baby alive, would we have taken care of it?
Yeah.
I don't know how you would.
Yeah, but wouldn't you try?
I mean, I would try. I'm just saying I don't know.
I don't know either, but...
And if the boy had asked me that, I would have said yes, but
right.
I don't know how long a baby's going to live in a world like that.
Yeah. Well, what's better than being roasted on a spit?
I know.
But one thing about...
Well,
the dad always tries to get the boy to communicate. Like, he doesn't want the boy to shut down. If they see something bad, he's like, you have to talk to me. If the dad does something the boy doesn't like, he's like, you have to talk to me. We have to talk to each other. And so he tries to keep that line of communication open. And sometimes the boy's like, I just don't want to talk to you right now. I don't want to.
And one thing I wrote down was, it has earned gut punch moments. Because it's kind of like a quiet book, you know what I mean? Like, it's not super action-y or anything.
Right.
So when something does happen, it hits you hard.
Right.
Like when they find the cellar, or when they find the baby. Like...
And it's not, again, I've said this before, but it's not a typical post-apocalyptic movie where...
Book.
Gosh dang it, book. Where, if you can tell I'm used to doing movies on here, where it's like, scene after scene after scene is them fighting something bad, which they are, because every page they're fighting for their lives,
yes.
But it's more like hunger or thirst or...
It is very much a man versus nature story.
Yes, very much so. And the part on the mountain was, like, I didn't think they were going to make it.
Yeah.
I really didn't. I thought they were going to, which I knew there was a lot of the book left, but I didn't think they were going to make it off the mountain. Because it's snowy, they're trying to push that grocery cart.
You know, I've always wanted to write a book like that where, like, the characters die partway through. Like, the characters that we're focused on die partway through, and then we follow someone else.
Stephen King.
What book did he do that with?
I don't know. Just like every character in his books you like, he ends up killing off.
Well, I just meant, like, the main character.
I know.
Which, spoilers for people that haven't read the... I don't even know if I can mention the book series, like it's a spoiler for the book series without ruining it.
What book series?
You know, you got it spoiled for you when you worked at Family Video. Okay, well, I guess spoilers for Divergent, if you don't want to hear this, oops. But, you know, the main character dies like halfway through the last book. I don't think it's actually halfway. I think it's closer to the end, but there's still a good amount of the book left, and it just switches to a different character.
Yeah. I don't know, I've never read them because it got spoiled for me.
No.
And they never made the last movie, which I'm still not happy about.
Yeah. I did not spoil it for her, let me just make that clear. She worked at Family Video, and some guy came in and spoiled it for her.
So when we first started talking about this, the book, I keep saying movie. The book, when I finished it earlier, I texted you and told you I hated this book.
And then I asked, did you hate the book, or did you just hate, like, some of the decisions?
I didn't hate the book. It's a very, very good book. It's very well written. But when I have a character that I'm rooting for and I want them to make it to the end of the book, I get so upset when they don't make it.
Yeah.
And I wanted the little boy to have his dad, because what else did he have? He didn't have anything else. He had his dad.
He had hope.
Well, unless they were cannibals. Then he didn't have hope for very long.
Yeah, but I don't think they were, because like you said, the gun thing and everything, and also I just like to look at it optimistically.
Yeah. Well, and then we were just talking about the bunker when we were not recording, and I don't know what you said, but I said as a parent, I would look at it as we're going to stay here and keep you strong, get you strong, and keep you warm as long as we can, and like try to wait out the worst of the cold weather. But again, I don't know, because it's so ambiguous about what happened. Maybe there is no warm weather anymore.
Yeah.
Because the whole time they're traveling,
I think that's the implication.
It's either cold or it's rainy.
Well, you know that Ashfall series I read where the super volcano goes off and ash blocks the sun?
Mm-hmm.
That's how it is in that. It's like eternal winter.
Huh. So, and then you wanted to talk about the time frame.
Yes. So, this book came out in 2006, but really, it could take... The time period's kind of ambiguous, because we get a couple mentions, like, they mention Coke, and at one point they go to a gas station and get a bunch of oil, and,
the motorcycle mirror.
Yes, he puts a motorcycle mirror on the shopping cart.
Which I thought was a really smart idea.
Yeah,
I never thought of that.
So that you can check behind him without actually having to turn around. But, like, all of that stuff has existed for a long time.
Right.
And I'm sure will exist a long time into the future. So the time period is really kind of ambiguous.
Right. And there's nothing that really there's nothing futuristic, but then there's nothing that talks about, like, horses and buggies sitting there. So there's no...
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of took it as, like, it was happening at the time he was writing the story.
Yeah.
But there's nothing that really indicates that.
What I was going to say...
talk about at one point, they find a train, which obviously the train doesn't run anymore, but... Which, I mean, we still have trains today, but...
But I was going to say, I agree with you, it probably just takes place when the book came out. But, like, if it happened today, it would be very similar.
And you know one thing I noticed? Like... See, and this goes back to the, like, what happened in this story. They don't find... I think there's one part in the book where they talk about it looks like they had tried to burn a stack of bodies in this one town. But there's no... I mean, it's not like they're finding people dead in the streets everywhere they go. Or piles of bodies everywhere they go. They're not finding dead animals. There's no animals in the book at all.
Yeah.
So, like, I which I know we'll never get an answer because the way the book's written, but, like, I want to know what happened. Like, where's all the animals? Because the boy even talks about something about wanting to see a bird at one point.
He asks about, is it crows?
I think it's crows.
And the dad says, I think those are just in storybooks.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just like what happened, like where, and it's okay that it
Yeah,
left that
yeah.
open like that, but it's like I said, zombie books or post-apocalyptic, usually there's bodies everywhere, and not that they don't see bodies, but it's not like a mass casualty
Yeah.
event. It is, but we don't know what happened to everybody, and we don't. I mean, they don't see
And like
cows,
we
they
don't
don't
know.
see
Yeah.
chickens. There's no birds. There's no
And like
wild
the whole part where they
animals.
come to the part of the road that's burning, it's not explained how that happened.
Right,
Like it's happening.
right, and they don't really think much of it either.
Yeah, it's just it's kind of like that throughout the whole book. It's they never really question why things are the way they are. That's just how they are.
And I thought it was kind of cute, like the the um the dad has a paper map, and so he gets it out all the time, and he's like, he tells his son at one point, like, this is where I think we are, and his son's like, Dad, you always overthink it, like we haven't made it that far. So then from that point on, the son's the one like keeping track on the map of where they're at, and it was just, I don't know, they have good
I'm glad
chemistry.
you mentioned Mad God earlier, because this does in some ways remind me of Mad God.
I don't know if I said that on the podcast.
You did. It was when we were early. You said that you think a movie adaptation would work if it was something like Mad God.
Yeah, just because of the background aspect
Yeah.
of it, like. And I don't know. I haven't watched the movie, so I have no idea. But I'm judging by what you said. Like, I don't know if this is a book that would translate to
From
a
what
movie very well.
From what I saw of the movie, the timeline was like made quicker. Like the part with the people in the truck happens like almost immediately after the movie starts. And so I wonder if they just took most of like the actiony scenes like that in like the cellar and stuff and
Probably
use those.
think
Because
that's
I've heard
right.
people say that, like I saw some people saying on Reddit that the scene where he goes in the cellar in the movie is one of the worst. Like,
with all the people, emaciated people.
yeah, like is one of the scenes in a movie that hit them the hardest ever.
I don't know. I don't know if it's one I'd watch or not.
I'm gonna go ahead and say I don't really think it's worth a watch. I would just read the book or read the graphic novel. I still like the actual book better than the graphic novel though, because the graphic novel leaves out some things and changes some things.
I think that there are very few books that they have ever done justice making them into a movie.
I agree, but from what I have seen for the most part, every time I've seen a graphic novel adaptation of a book, I've liked it.
Huh.
And I like this one, but not quite as much. But like, okay, there's the Coraline book, and then there's the movie, and then there's also a graphic novel. And like the graphic novel is based off the book, not the movie. And it's basically a 1-to-1 adaptation, just
But
with
the
pictures.
book was first, right?
Yes.
So I don't know.
Even though I don't support the author, I love Coraline.
I don't know anything about the author.
It's just
Drama.
he's a mess.
I will say
It's what everyone always
oh.
does.
I will say that, and this is totally off topic of this movie, but I will say, or this book, but I have never been so mad as I was walking out of the theater after we went to see Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. They butchered that book, and it makes me so mad to this day. I've only watched that movie once, and I will never watch it again.
We should do those books sometime.
We can. I've got all 6 of them.
Well, I've only read the first 3.
I think I've read 4, but the first 3 are better.
Yeah. Well, we could do the first 3 in one episode, I think.
Yeah.
It'd probably be a long one.
But they ruined that. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's not here nor there of anything that we're. But I would like to know in the comments what your least favorite book to movie adaptation is.
Yeah.
And your favorite book to movie adaptation. I think my favorite right now would be The Long Walk. It's very well done.
I honestly think I liked the Long Walk movie better than the book. Because the book, Stephen King wrote it when he was in college, and it feels like a book that was written by, here's my favorite word, a jaded college student.
I think you say that word on every episode.
I know, at this point, I have to.
Gotta get it in there.
Yes.
So we both really enjoyed The Road. I think
yes.
we both probably took different things away from the story.
Well, I don't know necessarily if survival horror is your kind of horror, but survival
it just
stories
depends on what it is.
Yeah. But survival stories to me have always been one of my favorite genres. And I was just thinking about this the other day because I was talking to one of my friends and they asked me like what my favorite like childhood books were. And the two that I thought of were The K and Hatchet, which are both books about people surviving. And then I also thought My Side of the Mountain, which is another book about a guy going out in the woods and surviving. And so it's just, that's kind of, I've always liked that genre, and I really love horror. So when you put survival and horror together, I'm going to like it. And I think that's why I like apocalypse media so well.
I wasn't really sure, and I even told you this when you mentioned it, if this would fit our podcast as horror.
Yeah.
But after reading it, like I said earlier, it's quiet horror.
Yes.
Like it's, again, there's no supernatural elements to it. It's just how do we survive in the world that God has put us in right now? Like, how do we survive this?
Well, and I read the Home series by A.A. American. It's basically in that there's a solar flare that knocks out the power, and then the U.S. government sets off EMPs so that they can declare martial law for as long as possible.
Our government would never do something like that.
And while I did like part of that series, I did not like some of the later books. And I stopped reading it before the end of the series, and I also don't agree with some of the author's ideas. But anyway, this is so much better to me. Because I always like, okay, so there's a book series called Rotten Ruin, or that's at least what the first book is called, that's about a zombie apocalypse. But it's like 100 years or something after the apocalypse has happened. So people are just used to it. Like, zombies just exist, society's back, but zombies still exist. But it's just part of their everyday life. And so you don't go through that awkward phase of, oh, they're trying to figure everything out and all that. It's just like they're in the middle of it and they're surviving. And I think that's what I like about this so much, is it's not like they're trying to learn how to survive. It's just them surviving.
Right. I think the relationship between the dad and the son is really good. It's really well written. And I think that, I think he's an author, and when I first started reading it, I wasn't sure I'd be able to say this, but I think he's an author I would probably read more by. I don't know if I would say I would enjoy more by him if Blood Meridian's as bloody as you're saying it is. I don't know if I would enjoy that, but I feel like he's somebody that needs to be on your to-read list. Like,
yeah. I think everyone should read Cormac McCarthy at some point.
Any specific story? I started to say this earlier and I don't think I got it because we started talking about something else.
I think The Road would be a good one, but if you could handle it, Blood Meridian.
Well, I started to say this earlier and then I don't think I finished the thought. From what I was looking at, we talked about how there's no chapters and the punctuation and all that. From what I've read, everything he writes is
that's just how he
style.
writes. And he even, in an interview before, he said, like, why would I mess up my page with random spaces and, like, extra markings I don't need, like hyphens and crap.
Yeah. And I think it worked with this story. I need chapters because I want to read the whole thing if there's no chapters.
Well, and I don't know why, but I think I like it when it's like that. When it's just one continuous narrative without breaks. Because it feels so much like a story to me.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like someone is telling you a story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's why I like Dolores Claiborne so much, and I like this so much. I mean, that's part of it, obviously. Yeah. It's not the entire reason.
So, this is one of Dawson's favorite books.
Yes.
I would say it's a very good book. I don't usually try to pick favorites because there's so many good books out there.
Yeah.
I think it's a memorable one that I will remember for a long time.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I don't even necessarily know if I could make, like, just a straight list of, like, my favorite books of all time and just have, like, a set list. You could ask me tomorrow and I might say a different thing.
Right.
But it is a memorable book that will always stick with me.
Right. And I think it will for me, too. So let us know in the comments if you've read it, if you've seen the movie, if you've read the graphic novel. Next week we will be doing Drag Me to Hell.
And our next book will be Winterset Hollow.
By Jonathan Edward Durham.
Which is one of your favorite books, even though you just said that you don't really have favorite books.
Okay, so I have favorite books. I just wouldn't say that, like, I have, like... I could read a book tomorrow that could knock 7 rabbits off my top list of it, which I don't think that'll happen, but I could read it. Like, my list is either always changing or always growing.
That's what I was just saying, yeah.
So, Winterset Hollow by Jonathan Edward Durham. It's actually the only book he's ever written in public. Well, I don't know if it's the only one he's ever written. Only one he's ever published. Very good book. It's more... I would probably classify it as fantasy horror.
Well, didn't we say... I think we may have said this in our favorites episode that's not out yet. But didn't... It's like Bed Knobs and Broomsticks, but horror.
Yes, very much so. So, get you a copy of it and read it.
Should we say what the plot of Bed Knobs and Broomsticks is in case they don't know?
No.
Okay.
But that will be our... January book. We don't have a book in December. In December, we are doing Christmas horror.
Yes.
So we're doing Krampus, Black Christmas, and Christmas, Bloody Christmas.
Is that it?
Yes. And then Winterset Hollow.
Okay.
So I guess we are doing a book in December.
Yeah, because it's...
Yeah, because we've got Drag Me to Hell.
It'll be our 25th episode.
Yeah, we've got Drag Me to Hell. And then we've got our 3 for December. So, Black Christmas is going to be a fun one because there's actually 3 copies. There's 3 versions of that movie. There's like one from the 60s or 70s, one from the 90s, and then a newer one.
Yeah. So
Dawson has only seen the first or the newest one.
Yes.
He's only going to watch the newest one, but I've seen all 3 of them. So that's going to be an interesting episode.
And I do want to mention that our first 2 episodes after the new year, which I know this is a little ways off, but I'm just putting it out there now, they are going to be an episode where we talk about our favorite books and our favorite movies, and we're going to make that a yearly tradition.
Yes.
Every year, the first 2 videos of the year, we're going to talk about our favorite books and movies and see if it's changed since last year, see what new ones have been added, whether we've done podcast episodes on the new ones we've added, whether we've done podcast episodes on the old ones we said, and just kind of generally take stock of where we're at in our horror.
And another new thing that will be coming next year, which we've mentioned before, but we haven't actually done it yet, is we are going to start doing board games.
Yes.
So, let us know if you have any suggestions on horror board games. I know our first one is going to be Zombicide.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, specifically Deceased Zombicide.
Yeah, there you go.
We have is it Gotham Outbreak?
Yeah, I think so.
Gotham City Outbreak?
That sounds right.
Yeah.
So,
I have pre-ordered the rest of the DC stuff, but it's been pushed back for like a year and a half, so.
So, stick with us. We appreciate you listening, and we will see you next time.
Yeah.